We'll get started in just a second here. I know I'm running a smidge late. My brain has just got sucked into something that we'll talk about in just a bit. Rick asked on YouTube, am I going to be the only one? I don't think so. I'm here too. I don't know if other people will show. Let's see, my Discord is on the wrong channel. Oh boy. Who else do we have? Oh, I didn't pop this out yet. We should be going on Hello DCD. All right, I'm paused. How many folks do we have here? Seven. I shifted my camera a little bit, so hopefully it's okay. All right, let's get going. Folks will come in as we go along. So hello everyone, my name is Scott. I work on Adafruit, or on CircuitPython for Adafruit. If you don't know what those are, Adafruit is an open source hardware and software company based out of New York City. I work remotely for them out of Seattle, so I'm here in my very increasingly cluttered space. Yeah, I need to take some time to clean it. So I work on CircuitPython, which is a version of Python designed for little tiny computers called microcontrollers. I have a very exciting board here on my desk, but it turns out it's like super wired up, so I'm not going to show you. Here's a prototype Metro RP2350, and actually I got an Adafruit order, so I have a production one here as well. Let's take a look. I haven't even opened it yet. I got it today. So this is an example of what Adafruit makes. So here's the prototype Metro RP2350. Here's the production one. I thought it was purple, but no, it's black. So this is what is commonly called a development board. There is a little chip here that is in the tiny computer, and CircuitPython runs on here. You plug in here, it shows up as a CircuitPy drive, and you can edit code directly on the device as if it's a USB drive. So that's what I work on. The goal is to make computing really accessible. DCD says, I miss when you got to open the boxes you received. I can show, I just have a stack of the other stuff that I had, so I could show that stuff too. But first, let's finish housekeeping. Adafruit, open source hardware, software. I work for them. Go to adafruit.com, purchase hardware there. Supports me and all of the other awesome folks that work for Adafruit. CircuitPython, circuitpython.org will get you places. It runs on devices, including those that are not made by Adafruit. Today, I've been doing Zephyr work, which is Zephyr is an open real-time operating system, working on getting CircuitPython built on that. Today, we're not going to be working on that because I got a prototype this week for what is dubbed the fruitjam. It is not the final name, but I got distracted. Lady Ada wanted me to try to get everything working on the fruitjam board, so it's very wired up because I was debugging. I was doing some hardcore USB host debugging that I'm not going to do in the stream today, but it is wired up. So I'll go to my bench cam just so you can see I do have it. So it's here. This is all the Salier logic probes. I've got a UART coming off here, and some Salier lines for debugging. USB-C, HDMI connector carrying DVI video, and there's also an audio thing here too. And then I've got, this is USB going to my Beagle, and then over to a game controller here. USB host is not working reliably, unfortunately, and that's going to be my main test next week if TAC doesn't fix it all for me. May have noticed there's a Syntheon here too. These are both USB debuggers. I'm more familiar with the Beagle, that's part of it, but when I was doing the Syntheon, I didn't feel like I was capturing all the packets, which is not something you want from a USB debugger. So sorry, it's a mess and I can't hold it up, but I'm like low-level USB stuff is not working, unfortunately. Hello, Mark. Hello, DCD. Hey, Hams Labs. Wrenchmine Rick is back over in Discord, and I should say the URL to get to Discord is adafru.it/discord. We'll get you here. I have one on my wish list, waiting for the fruit jam, and then put it in an order. Yeah, so one of the things that you have to do before you order I should switch screens here. There's my desktop. One of the things that we have to do before we get a new device in the shop like this is we have to make sure that all of the different pieces fit. Not fit, but work. Also fit, because I think these connectors are a little close together. So that's one piece of feedback I have for Lady Ada is we need some more space between all the connectors. But yeah, trying to get all of the different functions going is something we need to do before we can order more of them. Somebody asked, and I should say I love to answer questions that folks have in the chat. Somebody asked, why does a simple print work with the Featherwing OLED? I'm not sure what you mean. Try rephrasing your question. I assume you say, why doesn't a simple print work? But yeah, go ahead and add more details. There's also a lot of other channels on the Discord that can get some help. Yeah, so we're not going to do Zephyr today because my brain is in fruit jam land. Sarlan says, just got my hearing aids and your voice is much higher, and it's weird I can hear the clicks from your keyboard now. Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me better. I know for a lot of people have said that I'm too quiet, but it doesn't seem quiet from here, and I tend to talk loud too. Hi, Zarnlen. Hello, W90NY. So if you read my CircuitPython 2025s and stuff, hi, Yanni. I really wanted this idea of a standalone CircuitPython computer, and this is finally kind of the board to do it. Now, here's a hint. It's based on this Metro RP2350, and when Lady Ada was asking what she should add for this, one thing I was says, hey, put USB host headers here. So you can actually do USB host on these pins here and just get a breakout. So you can actually do pretty much the same thing that the fruit jam is with this board, the Metro RP2350. It doesn't come with PSRAM, whereas my fruit jam did. And instead of the flat flex connector, there's an HDMI connector on there. It does not carry HDMI signals, so it's not actually HDMI compliant. But it carries DVI signals. And one of the exciting things I got working is we knew that 640 by 480 would be cool, and we had this open issue to support 800 by 480, which I actually did, talking about things I got in my goodie bag in my order. I did actually order a 5-inch HDMI backpack that is 800 by 480. I was going to try it on here. But it turns out that none of these screens I have here support 800 by 480. But when I was using my laptop to talk to the screens, I saw this weird mode, 720 by 400. And it turns out that I went to Goodwill and bought this TV. It has 720 by 400. The capture card has 720 by 400. My TV at home has 720 by 400, and it looks good. So I'm very excited about finding a widescreen mode. And I got it working. Should I quickly show all of the other stuff I got in my goodie bag before we dive in? So I got 2 Metros, and then I've got a bag of smaller stuff. I don't actually remember everything I got. I'm so cluttered. Let's see, this is a Sparkle Motion Mini. This is a new board here with an ESP32. I got some solder wick. I need a mobile soldering setup, so some solder wick for that. I got a UFL connector. It's just a tiny connector there because I've been getting into Meshtastic as well. Here's a hstx breakout board. And I got the Adafruit RP2040 with the RFM95 900 megahertz, which I think is the LoRa chip, and then 2 more UFL connectors, so I can add those to the board, the Feather wing I have already. Mainly that order was for the Metro RP2350. Your Discord chat on the stream isn't aligned to what is being typed on the screen. Is it not updating? Let me see. Discord browser. Interact. Oh, weird. It had like gotten scrolled up. Let's see if that works now. I see the fox. Ty says, hey all, so what's cracking with the fruitjam talk? Congrats on the undiscovered output resolution. Is it possible to pick any res that is half the desired res? My laptop does 1366 by 768. If the pixel clock is at about 25 megahertz, 250 megahertz, that's true. So, yeah, it's DVI. HDMI adds things like audio in the stream and stuff, which we don't have. Juan Ninoni said, why does a simple print work with? Why does a print show up on the terminal? We do a lot of legwork so that if you add a display, it is automatically used by the CircuitPython terminal, and you can see error messages there if you like. You can change what the display is showing, and then, but when your code exits, it'll go back to the terminal to try to show you the error messages. Hamzab asks, when do you expect fruitjam to be shipping in production? That's not my job. All I know is that like what I can do is make sure that everything gets tested so that we can do that. But timelines and stuff is not my thing. Let's see. So I don't think that's true. HDMI audio goes over a different wire than the video. I thought it was packeted into the blanking periods. I might have looked into this. But this does have a DAC, onboard DAC, and playing tones. So let me show you the resolution I got. So let's see. Does this show it? Okay, so this is running from the fruitjam prototype I've got. You can see it's alternating between a test and the display ruler that I have. The display ruler is actually kind of, I only have it showing up for 2 seconds. I had it for 10. The colors are a little weird. So one thing that we're using the hstx peripheral on the RP2350 to generate this. And it has to expand colors from however many bits we give it out to a full 8 bits. And it just 0 pads it. So if you're doing only a single bit, it's going between 00000 and 10000000. So you're not actually getting the full range, and like different things kind of convert those colors differently. In this case, I'm running this at 8-bit color because I'm running in full resolution. You can see that. Well, you can't see the rest of it. There's more video underneath the like right-hand side of the screen here. So it's 700 720 by 400. And I was like, where is 720 by 400 coming from? So I added this mode. So now you can see my desktop and you can see the output. And I should also say, I actually have audio working. I did that this morning. So I'm going to unmute it. I don't think it's too loud. You'll hear a sine tone. And if I turn on my monitoring, I can hear it too. Did you hear the beep? So in the test, it's doing a beep. So that's going that's I2S out to a DAC. And I can hear it. I turned on the monitoring of my input. Which is weird because now I'm getting my voice in here too. Oh yeah, no, I'm not talking about that. Can it supposed to do RGB 888 in display, or does the memory become too much? The memory becomes too much. So that's why if you're doing full res, you only do half, or you do 8-bit color instead of 12, or instead of 16. Yeah, I can mute the beep again. It's just going over and over and over again. And I'll turn off my monitor because it's weird. So I was thinking about things we could work on during this. So we have audio and video working. USB is not working very well. It like once in a while will enumerate, but it's nowhere near solid or reliable. So TAC is doing some debugging on that, and it's a long weekend here in the US, so I'm gonna get back to it next week. I do want to get it solid because like that's a key component of making this standalone computer. The other thing that I was thinking about, and there's a couple ways we could go in terms of what we're working on today for deep dive. Thanks for muting it. Yeah. So some things I was thinking about would be cool. One, I want to add emoji support to the terminal, and this is why I have font stuff pulled up. Like historically, when I watch things about Commodore 64, I'm actually a little too old to like have good memories of Commodore 64s. I interacted with them when I was like little enough that I don't really remember them. But one thing that those 8-bit era computers had was just like other glyphs that are like boxes and lines and stuff that you could use on the terminal screen. Oh, and I should say the detour I was gonna 720 by 400. So there's this Stack Exchange thing that says, what's the deal? Why is 720 by 400 a thing? And it turns out that before starting an operating system, PCs operated in text mode 80 by 25. And given the native font size of 9 by 16, that meant that you would get 720 pixels by 400 vertical pixels. So that is really exciting. Because this is so old, I think that I think you'll actually have like pretty good support for this 720 by 400 resolution. Like my big LG like 55-inch TV supports it really well. My receiver can pass it through, and I was like super excited. Yeah, DCD says, when you said USB, you mean USB host, right? Not the native USB. Correct. So USB host via PIO is not being very reliable, and I was in the weeds debugging it yesterday. The USB device is working just fine. Yeah. Yeah, so we can do things, but we could do things with it that don't require gamepad or external keyboard and stuff, which I'm excited for and I'll get to, but it's just going to be really painful until USB host is a little more rock solid. Mark says, if you have any C64 questions, let me know. I still have the books that outline every register they had and even circuit diagrams for the motherboard. Have you been looking at mass storage or just general reliability with PIO USB host? Yeah, general, like mostly enumeration reliability of PIO USB host. My I2C is weirdly unreliable on this board too, and I'm not sure why. it could be the board or it could be something with our scanning code. But if we go back to the screen output, we'll see that like devices found 18, 30, 3A, and 50, I think. And like it says failed, DAC detected when in reset, because I'm like trying to assert the reset line or raise the reset line. Maybe that's what I'm doing. So I can pull up CircuitPy code. So I'm asserting reset by setting the DAC reset to false. And then I'm running I2S test. Oh, I know why. Audio stop. I need to, after the DAC test, I need to turn it back off. Can we see the code? Oh yeah, sorry. GCD says, are there RP2040 versus RP2350 differences that could affect USB host or any other test code? I wonder if other test code hasn't been ported to RP2350 yet. I was thinking about this. One thing I'm suspicious of is there are some cases where the code's doing timeouts. And the way that it's doing timeouts is literally just like counting down a number. And because the CPUs run at different speeds, that's something that could bother it. Also on the RP2350, I'm running the hstx stuff, so my DMA bus is pretty busy. I was thinking about that. There's also this E9 errata that has to do with like pull downs and the GPIO itself. I was wondering whether that had some impact on it too. So yeah, we're looking at it. This is one like reason I'm very excited about this board is because it's like very USB host centric that I'm really excited to like document USB host well and have some cycles to like make it pretty solid. And part of my clutter, you can't see me now, but I've got gamepads galore and keyboards and I want to get joysticks working. So like a lot of my clutter is like all these USB devices that I want to get going with USB host as well. So I have this test script right now. Let me just look, actually, you know what I can also get? So I'm also getting the USB serial output here. And now it's saying that, oh, like it's not finding the DAC now, so that's good. I don't know what these addresses are, 303A 5054. It could be HDMI cables actually carry I2C over it, and this 51 is the one that is how you read the resolutions of the display. So it's possible that the capture card that I'm plugged into has these other devices on the I2C bus. If I plug it into the TV, I only get 50. Ixopack says, how does the PSRAM and the QSPI flash coexist on the same bus without getting in the way of each other? They share the same data lines, but they do not have the same chip select. This is how SPI tends to work, is that there's a chip select line that tells the other devices to it tells the device to pay attention, and then all of the others will ignore it. That does mean that when you're doing, that does mean that you're still sharing it, so you can only read from one or the other, read or write to one or the other at the same time. So you have to manage that, especially because CircuitPython writes to flash. That makes it trickier. The PSRAM and the QSPI work by having different chip selects. In the same way that you could have SPI share the data lines, but have different chip selects. Whereas I2C always sends like an address in the packet over the data. SPI uses a separate connection for whether one is is selected or not. Okay, so we got our test going. So the reason I was a little late going is because I was thinking about emoji support. So I was saying Commodore 64 has like all of these different things, and I thought, oh, like, because this is meant to be an all-in-one device, how do we, like, what do we want on it? And I was like, how do we modernize it, for one? I'm wanting to take that 8-bit era and I'm going to want to modernize it. So, like, we're doing widescreen, we're not doing that. And we're doing USB and DVI, we're not doing VGA or PS2. And so emojis, the PC DOS character set. So yeah, I don't want to just do the old thing. So like, other people are interested in running emulators on this hardware, but I'm focused more on like, what can we do with CircuitPython on this device? So I have a couple of emoji options that I've been thinking about. One is, there's this Serenity OS. There's this Serenity project. Serenity OS. It's a graphical Unix-like operating system for desktop computers. It's a love letter to the 90s user interfaces. So it's going to, like, I don't know, like Windows 95 era styling. But one project part of this is that they've been doing like pixel art emojis. Line drawing. You're right. Higher level font support is better. So you can actually see all of their emojis here, and they got true type fonts and stuff, and they're at most 10 by 10 pixels. And I have it open. So this is if we wanted color emoji. And actually, can I? I don't want to scale it up. Can I get it? That's better. That's a better way to look at it. They're still scaled a little bit, but not too bad. They vary in sizes a little bit. I looked at one of them and it was 7 by 10. And our current font is, what did I say, 6 by 12? Yeah, so these are all 7 by 10. Like, these smileys are 7 by 10. So like, we would have to pick a font that was 7 wide, not 6 wide, if we wanted to integrate these in here. Let's see, open with the GIMP, and this one is teeny tiny, but we can zoom in. Where's my... Zoom 800%. So this is 10 by 10. So it's not really monospace, which is kind of annoying. Right, so DCD says, does CircuitPython terminal support variable fonts? It doesn't currently. Right now, the way that terminal works is that it uses a tile grid under the hood. A tile grid is a grid of tiles, and you can say for every location in that grid which tile from a bitmap it occupies. Joe Hopfield says, thinking of all the fun we had in the late 70s with 24 by 80 ASCII terminals, blocky glyph plotting library I wrote, Advent or Zork, text adventure games, many hours I spent playing Rogue. Yeah, so like that is like, I want to take that, which I was not born at that time, but like I want to kind of like bring that and modernize it, and like emoji is very clearly like a way to modernize it. So this is one reference I have for like pixel level emoji, but there's a lot of colors in these. I don't think they don't just do like 16 color, and I'm not sure like how many different sizes of things there are as well. One thing I think I would like to do is I would like to have CircuitPython's terminal support half and full width characters. Because we have translations, it would actually be cool if we actually got like the ability to print like Japanese and Chinese and stuff too. I think it would be really cool. So I was thinking about that. And I should say the other thing I was thinking about doing is Microbit has a speech synthesis module that somebody was like, hey, do you have that? And I thought that could be cool too. So that is something I thought maybe we could poke at as well. But my brain is currently stuck in this font stuff. So this is one option. It's color. I would also like to add the ability of doing foreground and background colors into terminal because I think that would be cool. I'm not exactly sure how I want to implement it, but I think being able to do some coloring of the text would be cool too. So Serenity OS is cool that they make these all available, but I'm not quite sure it's what we want. The other option we have is there's a font called Unifont. It's GNU, and it is 8 by 16 or 16 by 16. There's this cool page, and then what you can do actually is you can just click, if you go to unifoundry.com/unifont, you can click the plane 1 chart. This is where emojis are, and this is literally just a giant bitmap of all of it. And their goal is to basically have one font that works for all of Unicode. Now there is a caveat in that for languages where the glyph that you get varies on like Unicode code points next to each other, it doesn't do that stuff. This is just a like one Unicode code point to one glyph mapping. But they want to support every language that can manage that. So I don't even know what language this is or this is. But if we go down here, there's like all these stylized Latin characters. There's all these different like arrow symbols and stuff. Like subtext, blah, blah, blah. But then there's all these emojis. So they have they cover all of a lot of the emoji code points. Like one of my favorites is the Tada emoji. And I don't know how I can zoom in more. But down here is a Tada emoji, which is the like party popper thing. There's a balloon, there's a pumpkin, there's a gift. So this I was looking at this again today and I was like, you know what? I think that's probably more like what I want. They've got all of the smileys here. It's like, you know what? I think that's probably a better way to go. So I think that could be kind of cool. Is like having emoji support, but it's still single color. And then if we add support for like half and full width characters, like then we could do like a bunch of languages too, which would be amazing. Now, one of the challenges with these languages, so DCD asks, how much storage would Unifont take? Good question. So this bitmap, this is the emoji bitmap. There's also the plane 0 chart. So this is where all sorts of stuff is. Actually, oh yeah, so ASCII is way up at the top. Which is interesting to me. So how much storage would it take? This file is 2 megabytes. That's why I have this human readable unifont files. So the BMP is 2.1 megabytes. Large. And the PCF file, so this has all the glyphs in it, is 5 megs. Which, if this is what you want, then that's pretty cool. This is, so like, this has 15 megs free. So this is a challenge we have with our language support is building all of the glyphs into the firmware image. I think it would be nice to stop doing that and only support move the glyph storage out onto Flash. And DCD says maybe not all of it needs to be in RAM, some sort of cache. Right, so maybe what we do is we cache the glyphs that we're currently using in RAM, and then the rest can live on the file system. So right now, terminal works with one tile grid, but I was thinking maybe what we need to do is we actually need to stop doing that and do one tile grid per character so that we can reference different bitmaps for each one. And then we could also do different palettes. Which we could even just do one palette per. Now this is more RAM heavy. It's more RAM heavy, but it could, yeah, my brain is thinking about this. This is why I was like, oh, I gotta get ready to stream, is because my brain is working on like, okay, how, if I want these things in terminal, I want, when you say terminal, are you referring to a section of CircuitPython firmware? So yes, so CircuitPython actually has a terminal IO. So let's pull that up and let's talk, because this is where we would change it. So Adafruit CircuitPython, and I'll just go to the implementation. So shared module terminal IO, and you can actually use this from Python. You can create your own terminal as well. So it keeps track of a cursor, which actually we talked about adding a native cursor as well, like a rendering cursor. A font, a scroll area, a status bar, and then what you do is, the way you interact with terminal is you say, hey, write this text. And that does all of the like OSC VT100 command stuff. And then manipulates right now what is a single tile grid based on the like string in there. Is there any sample Python code using terminal IO? I've done it. I don't know if I have it. So I have a random, let's just do terminal IO, and I have this folder called random backups. And it doesn't look like it. Oh yeah. I have it for terminal IO.font. Okay, here's a Grand Central display test that does it. I don't know if it still works. Joe Hupfield says it gzips down to 1.3 megs. We have the basics for using gzip, but that doesn't really help you. Like once you unzip it, where are you going to put it? And we're likely going to want random access into it. Like we probably want to be able to just say like, get me this glyph and go and find it. So I don't know. One thing I was thinking about, yeah, need that 16 megabytes of flash. So one thing that my brain's thinking over is like, okay, if we have a custom format, what could it be? And one thing I was just thinking of, what if we are able to discover the characters, the glyphs that are the characters that are supported by, like, instead of just having one giant BMP, actually like cut it up and name them something specific, right? So maybe one file per code page. Yeah, but the problem is that if you do run length encoding, Joe suggests run length encoding. If you do run length encoding, you can no longer random access into it. I was actually thinking like maybe one bitmap per row, but then again, we could also just do like put a font directory, and then put, I don't know, maybe a little metadata, and then a just hex code.bmp, and that's the first hex of that file, right? And then however long the file is, that's how many characters you're copying over. And in fact, that might be a way to just, instead of loading every glyph on an individual basis, we could piece out glyphs for like, here's A through Z, here's A through Z capitalized, and like part of the CircuitPython way, and you can't see me. Let's do desktop with this. So like maybe what we do instead of doing per glyph bitmaps, we just like somehow produce a whole collection of bitmaps that you may want to use, and then kind of dynamically discover which ones you've got. So like if you want emoji, you download this BMP that starts with the code and is like so long, and we just know what the codes are from then on. That doesn't solve the problem of needing to know half width versus full width. I wonder how common the ranges are. So like, I wonder, like, again, could we just encode that in the file name? And then what we could do is say, oh, if you need English, copy these BMPs. If you need emojis, copy this BMP, or like, you know what I mean? And then we could actually load. So one thing that we have now that we didn't have when terminalio was originally done is we do have the ability of dynamically allocating RAM now, even when the VM is not running. So there is a world where we could say, hey, I got this new character, I found the file, but now I need to load this bitmap into memory. I came to say code page and Unicode equivalent. Yeah, but I wonder if like being more generic is okay. Like maybe it's just like a BMP, you tell it the start code, and maybe like it could be like a hex value, which we can parse, dash HW or FW, right? Full width or half width, .bmp, and then just load it. Maybe? Is that insane? And then you need to store, like, here's all my BMPs and here's all my starting code points. Maybe that's okay. Like, tile grids are pretty large. I don't know how much an individual tile grid is. That's part of the reason that we use one tile grid. Tile grids can only address 256 different things too, which is another limitation to think about. I have a feeling this is something I'm going to need to think the weekend over, of like how exactly I want to go about it. Timon says, I only half started listening to the requirements, but would it start to make sense to use a higher level framework for the terminal? My brain kept saying LVGL while listening. DCD, I already answered the YouTube question. well, display IO is kind of a higher level framework already, and my intent is that at some point we could probably put lvgl underneath display IO, or like implement display IO with lvgl. But that's not what I'm talking about doing today. I really think, yeah, like moving glyph storage out of the firmware into Flash would be really cool. That would reduce our file sizes a lot for anything that has it built in. What I was thinking is we should only include the characters we need to render a URL on the screen for like a help me. I'm not seeing anything. Like here's the URL you need to, that will like explain to you like, hey, you need to do that. And now that I'm thinking about it further, I wonder if we should do it as a QR code. Like you can do QR codes with Unicode characters. I wonder if that would be the best way to do it. Is like just, although some displays are really small, but like some really short URL or QR code to just tell you, you got to put a font on here and then it'll work. Yeah, I wonder like the difference between half width and full width. Like it would be cool. The separate BMPs would be neat. Mostly because the handle text and font handling are already very extensive. The text rendering portion and down the line move things if you do end up using more lvgl. Text and font handling lvgl. I just don't. No, I'm not going to get into lvgl right now. I'm not going to cross that boundary. Like, I want a bitmap font anyway. But being able to just like select sub portions of this bitmap, dump them on the file system and have them work. And I also wonder, like, this has the like placeholders for different characters. I wonder if that could be something that we do too. Like if we can't find a right now, if we don't have a glyph for something that you type in, we'll just omit it. But if we could generate these so that you knew that there was one missing, that could be more helpful. Some of these font issues have probably already been solved, but it sounds like you're thinking about ways to pre-compute some of the optimized font files. Yeah, so I have or had like the PCF font format, which is what X11 used, and I was wondering what it uses to look up the glyphs, because it would be awesome if it was just like put a PCF on the file system and be done with it, like a more common thing. But I know with BDF, which is another version, like there's no index into it and being able to find different things. No, I don't want to do lvgl right now. C header or a binary. Like this font, this file is 4,000 4128 by 4160, which is 17 megapixel. Which is interesting. I wonder if it is run length encoded. If it's that many. Because I wouldn't want it run length encoded. Oh, but this is bits. Right, so 2.1 megabytes. Yeah, because that's 1 bit per. Yeah. I kind of like this file system idea. Kind of like this file system idea. Would we want to load the whole bitmap in? Probably not. The other thing we could do is we could dynamically load them. So we could still use a tile grid, but dynamically switch the bitmap. If we have a missing character, we search the file system for a BMP that has it, and we could basically like have multiple BMPs loaded in memory and just glom them together. The problem with that is that we then need to have longer and longer bitmaps. Another thing we could do is we could have one tile grid per character batch. Maybe that's the way to do it. And then a compact bitmap format. Let's see that. Okay, let me look at that. I don't want to use lvgl, but maybe I want to use their format. Kerning support. Different bits per pixel, 1 to 4. Usable for bitonal and anti-alias fonts. Keeping bounding box data only with built-in compression. Character codes are not limited up. Bits per pixel, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Compression algorithm. Raw bits, run length encoding. Map code points to internal IDs. Subtables for compact data store. Record size, table marker, subtables. Subtables are non-intersecting ranges. Format 0. Delta included GIF ID. Oh. Missing characters are mapped to 0. For non-contiguous sets. Oh. Data offsets in glyph table for each glyph ID. So the glyphs table and subtables, character maps, map to the location. Data offsets for each ID defined in the location table. Record size. Huh. That is interesting. Yeah. I'm understanding you, just the format is interesting. I wonder if we could get the unifont with it. Record size, data. Glyph ID date. Glyph data is advanced width, bounding box with compressed bitmap. Kerning info is optional. Glyph data uses RLE. 2, 3, or 4 A-bits. That will not work for bitonal fonts, but those are small enough. Ooh. Okay. Binary. Name, unifont. Size. Height in pixels. 16. Fallback. Do I have to give it a fallback? Okay. Unifont. TTF. I'll take an OTF too. No. Although I think TTFs are OTFs. Let's just try it. Unicode basic multilingual plane. Downloads modified. Nope. OTF doesn't work. Hi, Matthias. Let's see if I can rename it. And then I'll see it. Okay. Open. List of characters to include. Submit. Attach a font file before submitting the form. I did. images. 0, 0 through 0x 1, 0 f, f, f. My CPU goes whir. I think it's going. I think it's going. My CPU went whoop. I'm doing a lot. I probably shouldn't have done the whole range right at the start. I wonder how big those tables are. It's only using one core still. How big do we think it'll be? It is a Node.js script, so you can imagine it's all local. Yeah. It's an offline script too. Yeah. I think it's running. See, it says this page is slowing Firefox down. I shouldn't have done all of them. I don't know how long it's going to take. So what do people think? This is something I was going to do. The other thing was the speech generator thing. Looked kind of neat. Oh, there we go. 1.8 megabytes. That's not too bad. Not bad. Okay, Timon, I think this could be a good option, like you're saying. I mean, I did the unifont. So I did not enable compression. I don't think. I don't want compression. And it says that the compression is not for a single bit fonts. What did it download as? Unifont.bin. So if I just do my ls again. 1.9 megabytes. I think you're right, that could be a nice format. Do we want 1.8 is not that bad, but and I guess we could just have a smaller version for like ASCII. We could do an ASCII one. Font.bin. Is this interesting to people? This has the full and half width information, which is nice. This still doesn't handle how do we manage the bitmaps in RAM. See, my brain hasn't decided how to do it. That's how I'm like why I'm not coding anything. I wonder if there's something I should code. The other thing that I was thinking about doing is trying to get Celeste running. Well, my brain's got a stew on this font stuff, I think. Combines multiple of my niche interests. I think it would be good. I think it would be good to switch to Unifont and be able to do full and half width characters. I think that would be good. I guess one of the other things is like, if we're loading bitmaps randomly, maybe, you know what? Maybe we just switch to a, like, terminal just stops doing tile grid completely. We could just do a frame buffer. And if we're just doing a frame buffer, yeah, that might be the better way to do it, is just blit. Blit, blit, blit. Convert a range for a known glyph. Oh yeah, you can do symbols. So ranges and or characters to include A through Z, A through Z, 0 through 9. Unifont ASCII. Doesn't have any characters included. How is it? Oh, it's comma separated. A through Z, comma, A through, comma, 0 through 9. No? No, it still didn't work. It doesn't like these ranges. I mean, we could just do what, 0 through 255. ASCII bin, 5K. Yeah. I don't know, is that too big? 5K for those. It doesn't make sense to load all the bitmap data. I don't know. I gotta think this over. Why don't we dust off celeste.py? So that I'm actually like doing something. So if you don't know, Celeste is this open, or not open. It is this, oh, it's GPL. I think I inherited the GPL. That's okay. It's on CircuitPython. It's not in CircuitPython. So there's this thing called Pico 8. And there's this video game called Celeste, which is probably the most popular one. And you can actually play it on the web too. This is called a fantasy console, which is awesome. Oh, interesting. There's a Celeste Classic 2 by the creator of the first one. Huh. Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay. Okay, you want to hear my audio? Hopefully it's not. I'm going to turn desktop audio on. You're going to hear the sound of the wind. I don't know what buttons to press. Not that one. I don't know what. Sorry, I don't know how to play it. That's cool though. I didn't realize they had done that. Here's the original. Boots up, makes a chime. Okay, I'm gonna mute it and turn it off. Anyway, Sam says I wrote a text rendering system for Precursor written in Rust. Code generation tool that makes all the sprite sheet and font filing handling into precompile stuff that you configure with JSON files. This is kind of what we do now. Right now we look at all of the error strings and we include the glyphs from the error strings only. Includes an index for width of each glyph, so half width, full width are possible. Glyph data and indices live and execute and place flash in their own partition. The other person to ask about this is Joey Castillo, because he did font stuff for the font rendering code looks up glyphs and blitz to a frame buffer in RAM. Yeah, I wonder if a frame buffer is what makes it make it easier than doing tile grids anymore. Like if we want to do foreground and background color, maybe we just want a frame buffer. But if we have a frame buffer, why do we need a second frame buffer? Because we have a second frame buffer for the output to the display. Which I guess we could write directly if we wanted to. Obviously, I need to think about this. So this Celeste original, you could get the Lua code for, and then I rewrote it in Python. I think. So if we look at code.py, here's a version of it. And I had some P8 helpers as well. So I'm just curious to see what this does. So do I even have it? My brain needs to stew on this font stuff. Got all the requirements in my brain, kind of, but I don't know which way I want to go. Okay, I don't have Celeste. Git clone. Copy. Paste. We won't really be able to play it, because again, our input stuff is not working very well. But I'm going to rename code tester.py, and now I'm going to go home. I wish the format that was like folder aware. Repos, celeste.py, code.py, copy here. New module named Pico 8. Copy here. New module named Adafruit image load. Okay, well I can do circup, Adafruit CircuitPython image load. Oh, yes. This was just fixed. We are no longer doing 8x bundles. This should work. Thank you, Foamy Guy, for releasing the fix. Gamepad shift. Is gamepad shift? I think we deleted that. Okay. CircuitPy, Pico 8. Let's start fixing it. So yeah, this I had this running on a Game Boy Color, which is kind of interesting. So gamepad shift doesn't exist anymore. Line 76. Can you believe it was like 6 years ago? That's wild. No module named Celeste. Okay. I happen to have the original files. Here we go. Let's copy that as well. If I could just get it rendering to the screen, that would be pretty cool. Can't set attribute auto brightness. Yeah, I think we got rid of it. So that's line 279 of code.py. Like, we never actually did that. Celeste original P8. Hi, Beata. So this is actually loading the graphics and the maps. Okay. Unexpected keyword max size. Okay, we got rid of that. Code.py 57. Groups now grow dynamically. Module object has no attribute kjump. Let's take a look at the display. Is the display still going? Yes, it is. Module object has no attribute kjump in 164. If P8 button kjump k dash is on game, and game is what? From Celeste import game. Okay. I haven't looked at this code in like 6 years. So let's go here and Celeste and game. Objects. Here we go. Platform ID. Let's just add it. We're gonna have to like stub out all of this stuff. Okay, we're still getting output. I'd like to just see it load. Map done. Show removed, use root group. Code.py 212. Adafruit has a game check product, forgot the name. Yeah, that's the PyGamer and the Pi badge. This runs on that, on this AMD. That's why it's coded to that. I got it working. It was hard to play on the Pi badge. It ran too fast, I think. Frame buffer display object has no attribute wait for frame. We redid that, didn't we? Wait for frame. Where is that? In Pico 8 tick. Wait for frame. I think what we do is we do refresh. I think refresh takes something in. Hopefully. It's meant to, like, oh dear. Target frames per second. Yeah. I think it. Frames per, oh, come on. Come on, show me something. None type object has no attribute get pressed. All right, all right. Where was that? I set it to none. Gamepad equals class fake gamepad def get pressed return 0. Fake gamepad. Do. Oh, the screen is showing something. Hey, it's showing, it's just small. How big is this supposed to be? What is the Pico 8 resolution? Pico 8 fantasy console. Oh, it's 128 by 128. That should be okay. We should be able to scale. If we're doing 16 colors, 128 by 128. Where's our root group? Code.py root group equals game objects. Game.object drawing function. Display root group. Scale equals 2. Yep. We're thinking alike, foamy guy. Sorry, you can't see the text, but that looks better. I wonder if I could get serial input and use that to play. There, times 4. It's cut off a little bit, but if we press A and B, this is the problem I had. Like, how do I pretend to play it over the serial link? Like, if I get a character, how do I, like, I get a character, I get an A. Do I just have like a window of like, okay, A and B are down, A and B are down? And then input. Let's play around with this. We got 30 minutes. I don't know if Foamy Guy, Tim, have you thought about this? How can I play from my keyboard? Where did I put it? Pico 8. I'm like totally screwed in terms of being able to play on the keyboard. Like I don't have labels on my keys. Darn. I guess what I could do is I could just hold down A and B and see what happens. Where's my fake gamepad? Bits 0 and 1. Aren't there 5 buttons on the Fruit Jam? That's true. There's 3 buttons on the Fruit Jam. That is true. Let's do that. Good idea. Where did I put the fake gamepad? Actually, I think I'm going to take a pee break. I will be right back. I'm going to go use the bathroom. That way I'm not dancing around for the next half hour. I'll be right back. We'll do not that one. Window cam while I go to the bathroom. Be right back. Okay, I am back and no longer needing to dance around. Small gamepad device that can be hooked up via I2C. Don't we have that? Don't we have something like that? I'll have to look. Keypad with the built-in or attached buttons is probably easiest. I wasn't even thinking about that. I could do that. I could do. I don't know if I've done keypad. Oh, let me move my mic. My wife got me this cool shirt. It's a heart. All the different labels of the parts of the heart for Valentine's Day. Ooh, let me see if I have that mini I2C gamepad copy link. Let's see if I've ordered it. Doesn't mean I'll be able to find it. No, it doesn't look like it. Is it new? That's a good idea. I will add to my cart. Let's see, when was it? Oh, July of last year. Well, I don't have one, otherwise it would show. Okay, well, I don't have that. I think for all intents and purposes, I will just do the buttons right now. I gotta figure out where I put the fake gamepad. So here. There it is. Okay, so let's do def init self button 1 equals digital. I'm just gonna read board dot button 1. I think that's what it is. I don't know what the polls are, but there are 2. And then I will say res equals 0 if self.p1.value. Okay. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's going to complain about digital in out on board. Digital IO on board. Oh, no, it won't. It should go there. Okay. We might be mashing buttons here. Let's go back to the screen. Index into my order. I ordered it May 23, but I need to find it. Wii accessories and the Adafruit adapter. I've got lots of USB devices that I want to be able to use for this. Next week, if TAC doesn't get it sorted, I'm going to do that. Okay, let's see if I can. Oh. I'm pressing the buttons and nothing's happening. So let's debug this. I bet they need pull-ups. I could look at the schematic, but. So they're going to be false if they're pressed. Let's make sure that we're actually calling it. Yes, we are. Hey. We're slowly blinking. That's not good. Not very quick. After you press it, it blinks a couple times and then goes to the map. Oh, and I auto-reloaded. Let's try again. It's like not quick to load things either. I just removed the pressed. Oh, and you can't see my desktop. I'm looking at the code output. Display I/O is quite slow. Is it gonna load? Stopped my auto reload. I didn't save anything. It's thwarting me. One thing we could do is we could turn the display, make the display smaller. We'll speed it up. Because right now it's blitting all the stuff into the frame buffer that then gets rendered. If I remember right, this part is pretty slow, but then once you load, when you're moving just the character around, it's actually quite quick because you're only doing a little bit of changes. So now it should be loading the map. It's just so slow. It's possible, yeah. Lots of room to optimize here. It's like chunking real slow on like each frame, which it could be the wait for frame that is too slow. Or auto refresh is on. Something like that. Gonna load. Why you slow? I do want to like take some time to optimize this sort of thing too. Hey. We're live. If I do that, do I jump? Or, oh, there's a jump. Oh, it's pretty quick. I don't know what the other button does. Huh. Well, that's a start. I don't know why it's so slow. I guess we got 20 minutes. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do here. First, let's try, we're scaling by 4, which we don't need to do. Hey, look, here's where we initialize a display. Instead, let's open the other tester code. And copy. instead of doing 720 by 400, let's do 360 by 200. Okay. That should make it smaller. Ooh, that did feel quicker, didn't it? But now in our, am I just making that up that it felt quicker? Where was it? I forget why I organized the code this way. Declare victory. Is it slow to write the frame buffer? Yes. Like, it scales with how many. That is somewhat quicker. And that's full. It's still a little slow. Oh, and I just hit a rogue save. I think what I can do is this, I'm just going to close. This is debugging from USB, which I do have on, but shouldn't be running when this happens. Now I can do timestamp mode, 24-hour delta, and then in here I can do refresh. P8 is in here. Target frames per second. I'm going to print, which will slow us down a little bit, but oh, wow. Did you notice even the like resource loading is quicker? I wonder if that's, yeah, it's pretty quick. I hit the buttons and then it slowed down. I wonder what happens if I just don't tell it to wait for the frame rate. And I'm going to just not, I'm not going to print. Like the loading is a lot quicker too. Like we're how much faster is the RP2350 than the last targeted host for celeste.py? So celeste.py ran on the SAMD51 before, which is a 120 megahertz M4. So actually like quite comparable to the M33s and the 2350. They're like, these are 150 megahertz. I think what this might be is actually, it may be like memory contention. Like by knocking the resolution, going to pixel doubling, we're doing like half the memory transactions that we did. If we do full, yeah. So like hstx is consuming lines of the frame buffer pretty much continuously. But yeah, that's still really interesting. Like even the load times are quicker now that I've dropped it down. I wonder if it would be even better, smaller. I don't think we can do quarter res. We could do quarter res 8-bit, I think. Can we? Yeah, but that doesn't help us in memory bus transactions. Okay, here we are again. It's super quick. We're only seeing like a few frames here. And it is cut off. I guess what we could do is we could move the... I wonder if target frames per second would actually get us the right... The other thing that we have to make sure and do is we could turn refresh off. Auto refresh is on. So we're explicitly calling refresh. So this means that you can move all the objects around and then have them rendered when you want it. Good idea using the buttons. I should add that to my tester script. Like this is hard because it's changing the colors of like the whole thing. And now it's loading. Hey, that looks pretty good. Like we got the little dust cloud too. I should move it up so we can see. Like that looks pretty good in terms of or what I can do is we could drop the scale again. We'll be able to see everything and it'll be smaller, which will make it quicker. Let me go to this screen so we can see it. Let's see how the speed is here. Yeah, see how quick it blinks now? Like that feels like more like what it should be. So again. I think that's about right. I can't go left or right. I could jump. I don't know what the other button's supposed to be. I guess I should push these changes. That's what I could do. Yeah. This is why I want USB host working. I'd love to have a gamepad right now. I got like some gamepads. I got a wired one. I've also gotten some wireless ones. Okay, so I'm gonna back up this stuff. So first, I'm just gonna copy all of this, and I'm gonna dump it in my random backups. Again. I'll do it off screen so you can't see. Oh, you can't see my screen anyway. Perfect. Create new folder. Paste. It's like way quicker when it's smaller. I should think about whether we could do. If it's 720 by 400, I wonder what 720 by 7 Python 720 by 4 is 180. So I wonder if we should add a 180 by 100 mode. Would that be cool? I think we could do that. We could do 8-bit 180 by 100. 8-bit 100 by 180 gives us, we would DMA 5 or a byte at a time. Would 30 hertz work? Are there other Adafruit boards that have USB host working that can translate the buttons on your input device to GPIO and then write that into the fruitjam? I'm not gonna do that. I could wire more buttons up. There are there are other buttons I could use. I think 60 is to match what Pico8's math expects. I think that's the frame rate that Pico8 claims to be. So I think that's why we want to be 60 for timing wise. I think the animation should be right then. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a second window and go to CircuitPython and then home repos celeste.py. And I'm just going to update this stuff. How much bandwidth does DMA steal from the CircuitPython code? Any benchmarks? I haven't done any benchmarks yet. This is the first time I'm like, wow, that really slows it down. So if you were doing 8-bit, if you're doing 8 bits per pixel, you have to do 1 DMA fetch for every pixel. Yeah, this is totally worth playing around with. Okay, I am going to copy the backup version here. I'm going to overwrite, and then I am going to overwrite this, and I'm going to overwrite code and Pico8, and I also did celeste.game, right? In theory, you could have DMA run on the second bank and CircuitPython on the first, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I'm scaling up anyway. Like, why don't I add a 180 by 100 and then they're not shared buttons internally. That's great until I have to update the frame buffer and then I'm competing with them still. Yeah, we could do 180 by 100. Actually, I wonder how hard that would be. This is how I get into trouble. Before I do that, git status, git diff, group, gamepad shift, fake gamepad. Fruitjam. Did Did I not? Oh, I named it master. I should change that. That's how old it is. Let me just see. This is how I get into trouble. Okay, frame buffer, RP2350. If we are doing, oh, you know, I think I broke some of these other ones. If I want to do 8-bit 180 by 100, I'm going to add an 8-bit 180 by 100 mode. Cool. Pixel quadded. And dynamicaly size. Active pixel lines need 2 transfers due to different. Also set transfer size. So I think that's DMA command length is okay. And then DMA commands is going to be the same. DMA is going to be the same. Words per line is going to be the same. Back porch end. If pixel doubled, we do color size depth transfers when pixel doubling. The duplicate, we duplicate 16 bits to produce 32 bits. That's right. We can quadruple 8 only, which we were not checking for. We're not going to do color depth 16. We are pixel doubled. If pixel doubled. And then if pixel quadded. We're going to do this 2 more times. Scaling ++. Huh. Mode total lines. Is that right? I have to think about this. I don't think this is right. Transfer count. 1 transfer per pixel and gets mirrored into the rest of the word. That's right. Row divided by 2. Oh. And if pixel quadded. Row divided by 2 again. Because then this takes what row we're doing. And then if pixel doubled, trigger. Oh, these are the 2 extra things, okay. If color depth equals 8, rotate. But the number of times we rotate. Shifts before empty. But we want 4 shifts otherwise. You think this is gonna work? Probably not. All right, let's try it. We're over time, I gotta finish, but let's give it a shot. Make board debug. Actually, I could do a not debug build and that might help too. I've backed up my code. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to hold the UF2 button and press boop. And then I'm going to do udisk mount and copy it over. And now I should be able to do what, 180 by 100? We could quad 8. So this uses the trick that when you do a sub 32-bit transfer, it mirrors the remaining bits to the other parts of the 32-bit word. So if you do an 8-bit DMA transfer, the 32 bits ends up with 4 copies of the 8 bits. So that's the trick that we're doing. And let's mount it again and see if we could do 180 by. Is this where we start it? Yes. Can we do 180 by 100? And in fact, we could do this, we could quad 16-bit as well. We just rotate through the numbers twice. Looks like it worked. And I'm not scaling it anymore, am I? Did it just work? Nice. Soft reboot. It is like, wait, quite quick. It is quicker. Look at that. And I can jump. I don't know how much of the frame rate I'm losing via OBS or not. All right, well, that's cool. I should do quad 16-bit as well. I wonder how that would work. Anyway, that's for another day. Thank you all for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a pleasure. Have a great long weekend if you're in the US. We don't have Monday. If you go to our CircuitPython our weekly meetings, next week is on Tuesday because Monday is a US holiday. If you want to support me, you go to adafruit.com and purchase hardware there. The Fruit Jam will be there eventually. I don't know when, but we're working to make it pretty awesome for when you do. And yeah, adafruit.com, support us there. It's been fun. I don't know how much time I'll spend on this before I go back to Zephyr, but we'll see. Clearly, USB host needs some love because I would love to have a gamepad in my hands. And now I have a better idea of like what interface I need for that stuff too. With that, thank you all. Have a great weekend. I will see you next week. Preemptive thanks to DCD for timecodes, And I also usually say the URL for Discord, which is adafru.it/discord.